Welcome back, one and all, to Big East. My name is Counterfeit.
And my name is Shinkari.
And we are back in to bring you more action from the Bulldogs. Shinkari, we had our worlds rocked in our first game of the evening as we saw Levi destroy everything on this lane swapped Aurelia. Now we get to see if they can pull off the same again. And we got the promise directly from Levi themselves. That's exactly what's going to happen in our second and final game of the evening.
Yeah, and so far it seems like that might be the case so far. Looking at bans, Seraphine, Olaf being banned away, and Levi not really being targeted at any of these bans so far. Thresh being banned away from Misa here, and Pantheon being banned away from Please Be Patient over in the top lane. But with Kaisa being the last ban here, Vladimir and Irelia are still on the table. Two big picks for Butler.
Yeah, we saw how powerful that Vladimir was before, but this time round, we'll see if perhaps the Pirates have got something in their pocket. Now, off stream, the Pirates did play a little bit earlier today, or they played their first match against Georgetown, and despite having a very strong performance, still lost the game.
Yeah, coming out of a loss is going to do a chunk on your mental. So we'll have to see how Seton Hall picks themselves up, because Butler is coming off of a win, as we just saw.
Yeah, that was a huge win. So for what we've gathered from the Pirates' previous game, Windy Day did incredibly well on Azir. Crop did incredibly well on Misfortune, so it's no surprise at all to see the Misfortune added to the lineup once again.
Yeah, and this is sort of an adjustment. I still am not super convinced with the Kaisa ban here. Obviously, she's still very strong, but if she's not played as well or she doesn't get ahead, she is going to feel the power of those nerfs. And still not convinced about the Olaf ban either. We saw nerfs to his kit and his passive and also his W, and we also saw nerfs to the Gore Drinker as well. So still seeing Olaf bans for me is just a big old question mark.
Well, what remains to be seen from the Pirates here is what they're going to pick up for their third pick. So maybe we'll get to see what's going to be going into the Vladimir. Please Be Patient did have a rough game earlier on this evening, so maybe the priority's on them.
Yeah, it's interesting that they would leave Renekton up. I guess Butler is not exactly scared of the Renekton pit. It's not like something that you pull out of your pocket that you have to super prepare for. Renekton is a strong champion that a lot of top laners have practiced playing against. So perhaps Butler once again, like even when we were talking with Levi, they were like, yeah, like we knew that these folks have some one tricks, but we're not like super scared of it, so we're not really going to ban it away. So maybe we'll see it again in this particular game.
So both teams that's focusing their bans down towards the bottom lane. Tanky crowd control has been the order of the day, as Bard will be the last to take down from the Pirates here. It's more beef though. Malphite clearing out off 10th ban. Let's see what the Pirates have got in mind for their fourth pick.
Yeah, I'm assuming that they're going to be picking up maybe an 80 carry here. Ooh, excuse me. Yeah. They have a top lane and a support to pick. So I believe they're going to be picking up their top laner here. And Aatrox is a fairly safe pick. Renekton is still on the table as well. Shen is also a great pickup, a more team-focused brawler in the top lane. So that should be good to see. So sort of these kind of mid-game teleports will be very, very good to see from Please Be Patient.
All right, so Patient this time coming off of the Renekton onto the Shen instead, so should be able to make an influence on the map with that stand united. From what we're seeing from Butler, though, we're seeing a lot of similar stuff from the last time around, as we've got the Galio coming in as well, and we will be seeing the Yuumi, so we're not going to be seeing necessarily no Aurelia this time around. That's a fairly big change in itself.
Yeah, and honestly, I like this team comp a whole lot that's coming out from Butler here. A lot of the same kind of thoughts here of we want to be dealing a lot of damage, and I think we focusing onto Mac more so with this Vladimir pick. Very, very strong. He's going to be a huge damage dealer. MGL on the Hecarim, very, very strong pick there. Ariel and Yuumi is a very strong lane, showing a lot of lot of poke potential in these early few levels. So should be interesting to see. Please be patient and K-Rop. Okay, there we go. I was like, excuse me, what's going on here?
We're getting a little bit bamboozled there, but okay. So if we're talking about the game which happened off stream, Windy Day and K-Rop, they both did extremely well on their respective picks. Though the game was ultimately lost, should we be expecting to see the same with Windy Day swaps from the Azir to the Victor now?
It's hard to say. I mean, both of them are fairly similar styles. They're both control mages. Victor plays just a little bit differently. Victor into Galio, I want to say I give it to Galio most of the time. Galio into mage matchups, once again, it's really great. It's exactly what he's built to do. He scales off of magic resistance. He gets a magic damage shield passively with his W. He gives his allies targeted magic shields. Like, this should be a clearer victory for Galio, but who knows? It's a ranged versus melee matchup, and traditionally that usually goes up to the ranged character. So it should be a fairly even matchup in the mid. I'm expecting Windy Day to have less of an impact for my pun not intended in terms of Galio there. A little less of an impact towards the mid game, as the heroic entrance is such a huge ultimate.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've seen it work so well, just the ability to reach out across the map and come in. But want to just throw some numbers your way before we do get into our second and final game of the day. So King Amazing from the Pool Esports has got the most kills in the league, but K-Rop has the second most. Mm-hmm. That's the AD carry, the Misfortune down there. And for assists, Mizza has the third most assists in the league as well. So these are some serious numbers being put out by the Pirates bottom lane. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see them, be a huge influence on this game.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think if Udyr wants to put his attention anywhere, I think it's in the bottom lane. You definitely want Misfortune and Nautilus to get ahead. This is a huge lane that if they are able to get ahead, that they are going to basically run away with the game. They have so much support from Shen and from Victor, and that if Misfortune is able to get ahead, those ultimates are going to be huge.
It's worth noting in the last game the Pirates played, K-Rop did 40% of the team's damage by themselves, which is just a truly astonishing number.
Yeah, for sure, and that might be stocked up to the loss, and I think that, like, when you have high damage characters like Renekton and Jarvan and even Azir, that if you go multiple deaths, especially in team fights and not playing super far back, that you're going to be dealing a little bit less damage than normal. So definitely see that.
So all right, so if we're talking overall game plans here, what are we looking at for both of these teams, for the Bulldogs and for the Pirates?
I definitely want to give it to Butler. I mean, I'm a big fan of the bounce house, and while they don't have Jarvan, Hecarim is definitely Hecarim can quote unquote form a house for Galio to bounce in and for Vladimir to follow up. So there's a lot of really great follow up to this initiator that MGL is throwing out. So I want to give it over to Butler just because I'm a huge press the go button kind of guy.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly saw from Levi that the Bulldogs have no compunctions at all about pushing the go button as far as possible. I mean, that was just a crazy game, but I mean, this is a very different approach here for Levi. But either way around it, we'll find out shortly as we get into our second game. Let's take a second or so to look at Butler and the Pirates' respective universities, and on the other side, we'll get into game 2. Welcome back, one and all, to Big East. It's time for the Butler Bulldogs to make good on their promises here. A strong victory to start off the evening, but the Pirates, well, they've got plenty to say for themselves as well.
Yeah, this is definitely a game that I'm excited to see Butler Bulldogs just take another game. Like, they have been playing insanely well, so I'm very, very excited to see them try to take another one right off the bat. It's a lot of defensive warding coming out from the Bulldogs here, and not a whole lot of offensive warding coming from Seton Hall. So this should be a game where maybe we don't see the junglers ganking fairly early.
No, we're keeping a close eye, because I mean, certainly, for the Bulldogs, they were able to get an enormous amount done in the early going, but I mean, we were already in a very different game. Last time round, Levi was able to be sent up to the top lane on the Aurelia. Now, presumably in a much more supportive role to the team after carrying so strongly in the previous game. It feels like a very abrupt change for the Bulldogs to make.
Yeah, for sure. This is definitely Levi on another type of champion, but I still think that like he could still perform. Excuse me, I have been drinking a lot. And by that I mean water. So this is still a playmaking champion that on the Galio, even though he's playing more of a supportive role, is still a role that he can perform fairly well on. So I'm excited to see Levi play this game as he's taking a lot of damage from Windy Day here.
As you said, the range into melee can be a little bit tricky, and that Galio doesn't have a ton of that magic resist as yet. The Windy Day will get a little bit of help from his friends, blah 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 blah. When we're gonna have to agree on how to pronounce that one, makes an early gank attempt.
I'm gonna go for Flubber Burbler. I'm gonna call him Flubber. I'm gonna call him Flubber. You know that movie from like 1999?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's
I don't remember
Flubber
it too well.
now. Yeah.
All right. He's a Flubber buddy.
Yeah.
All right. So
Flubber, Bubbler. Yeah, I don't know.
the Flubber buddy has done a nice job early on. We haven't seen MGL as yet. They've stuck to clearing, but Flubber has actually gone into their red buff and kept up on this jungle CS as well. So that early gank didn't cost them anything.
It seems like a very, very strong start so far, and man, it's nothing too out of the ordinary just yet. I am interested as to why Udyr is deciding to counter jungle instead of, or just continue to power farm instead of picking up the crabs here. That vision very early on is very, very important to teams, especially at these early stages of the game.
And we see the Mac just dropping a ward in the tri-rush up top, anticipating the Flubber will be making an early visit, but that hasn't happened as of yet. Down the bottom, of course, we're looking for all the poke to stick. But we have got to still deal with, Mizza, as you mentioned, they have got some pretty eye-watering stats for themselves. We know they know how to navigate this bot lane.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and we're already seeing the needs of the bot lane having to move up and ward this Scuttle Crab. And this is also why I'm not entirely sure why the Udyr was picked here. This is just an awkward pick in general because you don't really see power farmers with the nerfs to the gold and experience in the jungle from this previous patch. And Udyr also received some nerfs to his kit as well. So definitely an interesting pickup here, but just an easy jungle to play regardless. You can't run away from Udyr anymore with these mythic items, and looks like Udyr might be having to do some running himself.
We have got Butler Levi on the move down towards there. It's both mid laners flirting with the idea of joining in a fight around this first Drake, but looking like so far the Pirates have got themselves a decent position. We will see a initial skirmish between the two junglers, but it doesn't look like either of them are interested in taking it further.
Yeah, it's at a stage of the game where Udyr doesn't have the items to back up some of his damage, and he has to rely super heavily on the Tiger Stance attack speed as well. Ooh, okay, never mind. He has to rely a lot on the attack speed from Tiger Stance in order to get his damage through. So it is definitely a lot harder to go up against Hecarim, who heals so much.
And so far, both the junglers keeping up on CS. As we glance around the map, we can see the Crop, as you noted, one of the highest damage dealers in the entire season so far, has actually managed to do pretty well for themselves. They've got a CS advantage, and they haven't been poked out of bottom lane in as fierce a fashion as you maybe would have expected. However, we've got the gank coming in from Levi. We know they love to be aggressive. They're going to go forward. Nice escape out from Mizza. TP coming back in for the Pirates. Looking like they're going to turn to a full-on team fight. We have got the hop up in the air, but it's going to get cancelled out. Another TP in from the Bulldogs as everyone comes to bear. It's almost, let's say, it is a full 5v5 team fight threatening to break out, but ultimately it's only summoners burned.
Yeah, so many summoners burn. Butler is losing an exhaust, a heal, of two a flash and a teleport. Meanwhile, there is only a teleport, a ghost, and an ultimate spent for Seton Hall, so they definitely have more utility if they want to fight this, and it looks like Butler definitely wants to fight.
Yeah, MGL coming in from the side, already down very incredibly low, but the first blood will go on to the North before being traded back straight away. Mac is still strong even this early on the Vladimir, so ultimately it's 1-4-2 in favor of Butler.
Yeah, and this is exactly the fight they wanted to get since it's Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. Everyone's here in this bottom lane. You really have to just immediately force that fight the second that Seton Hall tries to force it there. And what looked like a fight that they wanted at the beginning there, they had a decent chunk of damage bursting out. It was Butler that was able to come out on top, so huge win for them, especially scaring them both off the dragon.
All right, we've got another dragon starting up right now, or rather the first dragon of the game. Down there very early on with backup from Mrs. Nautilus. MGL is still in the area to try and contest this one, but I think they're not going to fully commit in. You can already see that Levi has been taken pretty low by Windy Day before any kind of fight has even broken out.
Yeah. It looks like the dragon is just going to be seeded over to Seton Hall here, and they're just going to be picking up this first Earth Drake here. The next Drake spawning is going to be Ocean, so that means either, Infernal or Cloud will be the soul for this map.
All right, so keep our eyes out for the items coming in as well for all of our respective players. MGL with the Sheen completed early on, Kindle Gem. We've got, of course, the immolation coming in, the tankiness from the top laner and jungler of the Pirates, so they're going to be that little bit trickier to keep down.
Yeah, and I do want to actually highlight an item just picked up by Windy Day here, the Verdant Barrier. This item is insane. If you are in the mage matchup, no matter what, if you are ahead or behind, you are in a mage versus mage matchup in the mid lane, buy this item every day of the week. It is so insanely good. It gives you MR, it gives you magic resist, and you only need to kill minions in order to scale it.
Yeah, and certainly we should be able to shrug off a lot of what Levi's putting out, as they've only grabbed themselves an early Mercury treads on the Galio, rather than anything more offensive.
Yeah, and usually that's a fairly standard pickup for Galios, especially in the mage versus mage matchup, which is what we're talking about here. Scales off of magic resist with a lot of his abilities and picking up, so it is picking up damage, but we might have a gank here.
And Windy Day tempted in by the control ward, may live to regret it. Early shield coming in, but the massed crowd control means that Windy Day will have no recourse. We do have the fight coming back in, with a lot of damage there, but the save, no, it's not good enough. MGL falls down. Now Levi could be in a little bit of trouble here. Does get around the corner to break line of sight, but it's still an even trade.
Yeah, and that is definitely something that, once again, this is another fight that started off like kind of shaky that turned around in the other team's favor. You know, we saw Windy Day being caught out there and then immediately got a stand united. It's the shield wasn't enough to save him, but Flurber Berber being there and being able to help turn it around for the team, and also Shen with the amount of damage he's been dealing. Nautilus also came a long way up to help with the fight as well. Gets them a 1-for-1 and also nets them a Rift Herald as well.
Yeah, that's not bad at all to break what has been a fairly even first 10 minutes. Gosh, there's been so much going on that I hadn't even realized that 10 minutes had passed. Up in the top side with the strongest performing member of the squad right now, Mac, with the 2 kills locked down as well as decent CS. Is looking pretty strong right now, and that's meriting this double attention.
Yeah, and once again, this is kind of the what we talked about in the previous game. We're seeing a top laner starting to get an early advantage, but it's still too early in the game for Vladimir to really push that advantage into other lanes. We did see him come into the bot lane. We did see him help with the team fight around Dragon, but it hasn't really translated into any big objectives. So once again, it's the onus is on Mac to take his lead to other lanes as we start to get closer and closer to this mid game.
And we're still going to see what that Herald ends up getting dropped, but there's lots of time to work with. So let's do a little bit more comparison. We've got the Mercury Treads coming in for MGL as well. So a lot of defensive stats floating around for Butler. Down the bottom side, you see that we've got some very differently building AD carries.
Yeah, I mean, this is mostly just the tune of Ezreal's kit is just so different from Misfortune. He wants to be building Trinity Force and stacking the tier, whereas Misfortune wants to be going Infinity Edge, wants to be going into more of a Kraken Slayer type build, and you know, this is once again just two completely different AD carries, and we do see a little bit of an engage in the bot lane.
Yeah, we see immediately the chapter comes out. For Mojo Romo, a little bit of panic there, and MGL is just off to the side, so having lost the Yuumi ultimate, maybe there is no gank to be found either.
Yeah, this is a huge tool that Mojo Romo is not going to have for this dragon that's spawning in a little less than 30 seconds now, and it is going to maybe give a little bit more pressure into the bot lane, which may give priority over to Seton Hall, which could give them the second Drake.
So that Drake is coming up in just a few seconds more, so it will be Ocean for keeping our teams out on the field. We can see MGL is down there, trying to make sure that it's not going to be given across without nothing as the Herald comes in. So this is the Pirates forcing a decision here from the Bulldogs. Do they go after the Herald or see the Dragon?
Yeah, and it looks like the focus might be on the Dragon here. It is a 3v3. Stand United is available from Please Be Patient. That Dragon is very low. Here comes Butler in from the side. They're not going to get the Dragon.
There's no steal. It's no good, but it was very close. We still have the follow-up crowd control coming in as the Pirates try and fight. There's the big damage from the Misfortune tearing through Levi as Mac will not be able to extricate themselves. They may not need to. Taken down as it's looking to be a more or less even a trade so far. But there's a second re-engage coming back in. MGL steps a bit too far and gets punished for it. Double kill onto Crop, and you're seeing why they are topping the charts in kills.
Yeah, this is, that was, I don't want to call it a disaster, but it definitely was not what you are looking for Butler here. There's a huge amount of plates that were lost, and that's a huge amount of gold being swung over to Seton Hall. 2.3k gold now separates these two teams. 2 dragons in the favor of Seton Hall, and at 14 minutes in, these might be some completed items as the Chemtech and the Sunfire Aegis are now completed for the top laner and the jungler.
Well, before we get into our next fight, let's take a look back across that crucial fight and see how it all played out.
Yeah, and this is pretty much what Crop wants here. He got a full cast of the spray and pray there. I'm missing up the name of the ability, excuse me, but what was great is that they were able to follow up here and pick off these members one by one as they were already taken low. That's exactly what they're looking for. Misfortune dealing a huge amount of damage, and then the rest of the team just need to follow up and pick off the remaining players.
So that presents a massive problem here for the Bulldogs if they want to make this a 2-0 evening. Crop already so powerful, already has the bloodthirst there to make it even tougher to get rid of them in the middle of a fight.
Yeah, it's interesting that Misfortune went for the Bloodthirster before a mythic item. Usually, a lot of the times, champions want to be going for their mythic items first just because of the amount of stats that they give just right off the bat, and the amount of stats that they give to future items as well. A lot of mythic items will be like, oh, you get this much amount of stats from future legendary items.
All right, well, the inventory certainly are getting pretty full up now in the early going in favor of the Pirates. So we've got 5 kills and 4 assists down in the bottom lane for the Pirates. Not too many kills elsewhere, but Windy Day has been racking up the assists.
Yeah, and that's what you want to be seeing. You want to see very high kill participation for a lot of these characters. For across the board, it's nearly 100%. 5 assists for Shen, 5 assists for Victor, and 4 kills and assists. 4 out of 6 kill participation for the Nautilus as well. And this is how you translate leads from one lane into the others, just racking up that kill participation. And when you have 2 teleporting solo laners, that is what's going to end up happening.
So yeah, I mean, we've been seeing some fantastic job from Mizza as we've got the second Rift Herald here. Please be patient, is getting chewed out by MGL in the early going, pushed back into the arms of Mac. Butler comes in, trying to make the save. Look at that damage, but we've got the Galio arriving at speed. Please be patient, has been Hino plagued, so they're going to take a ton of damage here. Windy Day is going to be able to try and salvage, but it's not a favored fight. Trisha Brush coming in from the side as well. This is not the fight they wanted. The tower goes in favor of the Pirates in the bottom lane, but they're losing out big time in the top. The Herald, I think, cannot be fought for any longer.
Yeah, that was a very, very good fight by Butler. What folks in Street Fighter like to call that, we like to call that footsie. That's when you judge your ranges just exactly right and only go in if you absolutely have to, and knowing when your opponent's cooldowns are down. So this was very good spacing by Butler there, knowing when to go back and engage and pull back and then re-engage. Very, very well played by them. And they get a Rift Herald for their troubles as well.
Unfortunately, the previous Rift Herald has done a lot of its work. We've got 2 towers down in favor of the Pirates right now. You can see the Max doing their best to try and return the favor, but you know, they haven't gotten close to managing to get any of that standing goal back in here for the Bulldogs, who have fallen pretty seriously behind. 80 minutes, 3k up are the Pirates.
Yeah, and we're also starting to see a bit of the problem that I've been mentioning before in terms of top laners. If one lane is winning and they're not translating that into wins for the rest of the lanes, then it's just going to be gold almost wasted. You do see we were talking about how Misa and Crop are really far ahead, but they weren't there for that fight, so that gold lead might as well not existed. We do have a bit of a Baron scuffle, a bit of a scuffle around Dragon here.
There's the catch, and of course the multi-hit with there, but we've got the final chapter. There's the bullet time. It's being channeled across the squad. That's a ton of damage. Levi trying to do what they can in the middle of the team as Mac flees back at speed. The Dragon is still up. This will put the Pirates onto Soul Point. Mac refuses to give ground, and Windy Day will blow them away. Blah, 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 as it's charging in an attempted steal, but it doesn't work, and it just gives another kill across, as it's a double for Windy Day as they finally join the pantheon of punchy Pirates.
Yeah, that's going to be the third kill, 3 kills for 0 in that fight. And you know, we were talking about footsie before with the Bulldogs, but Seton Hall was doing it just that much better. They're spacing between and knowing when to go back in, and they were forcing that fight for Butler over and over again. They're like, hey, you want this dragon? You want this dragon? I know you definitely want this dragon. We're gonna kill it if you don't do anything about it. And you know, when they finally did something about it, Seton Hall were able to turn that fight around really quickly.
Let's take a look back at the replay there so we can see it in detail, because that felt like a really important fight.
Yeah, I really have to put it onto Crop. Crop was like full health for that whole fight, and the bullet time he was able to get off was a huge chunk of damage. And like I said before, when they won a team fight around Dragon, they, you know, a lot of this is just Crop putting out tons of damage, just so much from the misfortune that the rest of the team just only they need to do is just clean up. And you know, we saw Levi just dive a little too deep and not have a lot of support from the rest of his team, and then you know, it was just cleaning up from there.
And I feel, you know, my heart bleeds for MGL there, going in for the attempted steal. It didn't happen, as Mac will use that Herald they picked up a little bit earlier on to at least get a tower for themselves over the Shen.
Yeah, and that's a bit of the team-wide gold that they need at this stage. They're down 4.2k gold, and they're down a couple turrets, so picking up that tower top lane, even if it's just one, should be able to put a little bit more gold into their pockets as the rest of the team is starting to fill out their mythic items here. Okay,
so past the 21-minute mark, the gold lead is continuing to build up for the Pirates. As we can see, look at the gold in Crop's hands right now. 8,500, over 2,000 ahead of Lunstorm and the Ezreal.
Yeah. I think what's the most interesting thing here is that Crop, I don't think he's even building a mythic item at this point. I think he's actually just building an Infinity Edge right now. He's sitting on a pickaxe, he's sitting on a crit cloak, but Flurber Berber might be sitting on a kill.
MGL being brought back into the squad. Look at all of that crowd control. There's no way out for MGL. Now Crop, with all their gold and all their danger, comes the calling onto the Bulldogs middle lane. See how quickly the tower's going down. A attempted flank is coming through from Mac, trying to grab it into the side of the squad, but Mizza and Crop, they're too quick to get away.
Yeah, that really speaks to the amount of vision that Seton Hall has around their flanks. They knew Mac was coming. They knew they weren't in a position to really push that tower down. So now here they are. They are now so far away from that turret that the flank from Mac really doesn't mean anything.
We can see, for the logs here, with such great promise shown in the first game, it definitely feels like they're really, trying to stretch themselves here to find a way back into the game. It's Mac and Patient, they've been brawling all the game along, mostly inconclusively in the lane itself, but we've got Night Harvester in there for Mac. They're definitely going for punch.
Yeah, it's definitely, at this stage, Mac definitely wants to be scaling more with AP than he wants to be doing with health. Because if he's going to be useful to his team, he needs to be securing a decent chunk of damage with his Hemo Plague so that Ezreal and Hecarim can follow through and be able to... Like I say with Lulu turns characters that aren't normally tanks into tanks. Vladimir turns characters that aren't normally carries into carries. So with a Hecarim sitting on a Trinity Force and hitting Hemo Plague targets, he should be dealing a lot of damage, especially with the amount of AP that Vladimir has on his kit right now.
I mean, that damage, yeah, you're right, it's just going to absolutely tear through everything, but the Pirates, they've got themselves a strong front line. You can see the inventories started to fill up with more and more tanky stats. As we're moving very close to Soul Point for the Pirates here, only moments away from what could be a decisive Drake.
Ooh, yeah, they might actually be trading Dragon Soul for Baron here, so let's see how this plays out. Seton Hall does know that they're doing this, and Please Be Patient is in position.
The Pirates taking a moment out to get the mid lane to farm. They're that calm about this situation, and yeah, it looks like it was just a bluff, but it's a bluff that did draw them away from the dragon for the time being. The Pirates maybe gonna get cut off here. Butler is being kept from linking up to the other side, and it might be a rush down here for the Bulldogs.
Ooh, yeah, they're not able to pick up the Drake here. The Ezreal ultimate was going to try to steal it, but Butler, maybe they pulled off from the Baron a little too soon. But we saw Crop and Maiza just staying just a little too. We're staying far back a little too much, but it ended up giving them the ability to quickly go back into the dragon. So now they're sitting on Dragon Soul, 2 Cloud Drakes, an Ocean Drake, and an Earth Drake. So this is going to be at least 20% cooldown reduction, a little bit more healing, and a little bit of armor and magic resistance.
Of course, it's always a little bit awkward when you end up with a ult-dependent Cloud Soul when you're running an Udyr who doesn't have an ultimate, but it's still... Right. It's going to be a lot of extra movement speed for the squad. Talking about movement speed, Flubber doesn't need any of extra movement speed as Mac is forced to flash away. There's a smite catching him under the tower. Crop comes in with the damage, but isn't even needed. The Pirates executing with impunity can now move back onto the Baron. This one's for real.
Yeah, and this is definitely a very good call by them. They have top lane priority, and they might be looking for a fight as well. Yeah,
Baron's not needed if you just kill everyone. Blah, blah, blah. Goes down very low. There's the bullet time. Look at the damage. Lonstorm just gets across the wall before dropping down. Yeah, they're trying to buy time in front of the tower. The Crop is just too damn strong. You're building the wrong kind of resistances.
Yeah, this is just a huge win for Seton Hall here in this game. They're now able, with all 5 members available, and Mac just respawning, and Levi still down. This is their Baron to take if they wanted, but it looks like they're just backing away.
All right, let's take a look again at that fight, and another amazing bullet time damage. I mean, if you're the Bulldogs, what can you do differently here?
I mean, it's honestly, it's try to find out Crop as soon as you possibly can, but the problem is that Seton Hall has just such a good team to protect this misfortune. There's a Vladimir in the way, there's a Nautilus in the way, and then even past all that, there's a Shen. So even though your win condition is to get to Crop on the backline, you have to spend so much resources to get to that backline, and then once you're there, you have to spend even more in order to get around the utility that Seton Hall has. They have so much CC, they have so much peel for this misfortune that even if you get back there, you might just be eating a point blank bullet time.
Yeah, and he pointed out as well, you have the Bloodthirster prioritized over the Kraken Slayer here for Crop. That extra bit of safety, the extra shield, making it so hard to deal with. Is we've got a split from the Pirates here. They're down in the bottom side while also starting the Baron up on the top side. This could maybe be a stretch too far.
This might be a little safer. I mean, Udyr is just so fast. He has a chem tank. He has those upgraded boots. He has, oh my god, look at him go right now. Even when he pops bear stance, he's so fast. And this is one of the strengths at Udyr. Like I talked about Udyr getting nerfed between the jungle nerfs and between his itemization nerfs and a couple to his a nerf to his kit just a little bit. But the strength of Udyr is that, especially with this Cloud Drake, he's real fast, okay? The normal counter to Udyr is walk the other direction. Between a chem tank and a dead man's plate and a Cloud Soul, you can't do that.
No, I mean, yeah, as you said, just the ability to move around the map so quickly certainly means the pressure is on. Coming close to 30 minutes now, the Pirates' lead has not stopped growing all throughout this game, and we've still to see Crop, of course, who has gained, has got the biggest bounty, the biggest impact on the game, and now an Infinity Edge as well. Crop hasn't yet died.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, that really speaks to a lot of the power that Seton Hall has. Now picking up an Infinity Edge, Crop is insane. Crop has been dealing so much damage in these fights and is so well protected. I also wanted to draw attention to something. Windy Day has been sitting on a Banshee's Veil for nearly the entire game. It was like their item directly after picking up the Liandry's Anguish, and that has been saving them a lot in a lot of these team fights, being able to absorb some spells, absorb some CC, and being able to continue to peel for Crop and provide just a little bit of more space for this misfortune.
Yeah, I really like, the setup we've got here for the Pirates. It's not, as directly a kind of, enable Crop to get all the kills, but that's what's functionally happening anyway. We've got the Bulldogs being kept at bay while the Baron is started up yet again. This was a fake out from the Bulldogs before. The Pirates pulled back last time and won the fight, but the Bulldogs are coming in at speed. The True Shot Barrage is a little bit too early, and ultimately it is not a full-bodied attempt to make the steal.
Oh
Mac,
my god.
it's going to get caught up, locked in place. Here comes the Gallia.
You can't get
But
away
Flora
from him!
Barbara is so ridiculously fast. There's a double root, though. This could maybe be enough. The edge roll drops down. That's a ton of the damage gone. Flora Barbara will finally fall down. Please be patient, though. It's leading the charge into the front line as the Vladimir is doing what he can, which is, in this case, just buying time. The crowd control is going to follow up. MGL, Luyumi's not going to help you when your team is locked down and eliminated. Blah, 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 may have died, but it's a triple kill for Windy Day and the Pirates. They are going full flag here into the base of the Bulldogs. We were promised a 2-0. It's not looking like it's going to happen.
Yeah, that was absolutely insane. I like to say Udyr walked so that Shen could run, but it was more like Udyr ran so that Shen could sprint. There was no getting away from Please Be Patient that fight, and he pulled 3 members. The two of them were fighting 3 members as Crop and Miza and Windy Day were able to fight off the rest of the team. That was so incredible. That was so crazy. I think at one point, my favorite play was just Please Be Patient flashing at the tail end of the taunt in order to find the Vladimir, and that was insanely good.
We've got a chance to look back at the replay and see how it all played out for the Bulldogs. Yeah. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, the funniest part of this was how fast Flurber Berber was running into this team fight here, and he's staying alive for so long, and even though he dies, Please Be Patient and the rest of his team are now in the perfect position to now follow up on this kill. And there's the flash taunt. So very good here. MGL trying to keep Mojo Romo alive, but it's not enough. Victor being able to pick up the final 3 kills rather, for that team fight, a triple kill for himself and an ace, turns into a Drake, an Elder Drake that might actually smell the doom for Mac here if the rest of his team doesn't follow up.
Yeah, Mac is the strongest performing member on the team right now, but even they can't stand against the Pirates. Windy Day come to finish off the kill. Tower Diving Mojo obliterates them with all the lasers in the world, as Levi can't do anything. They get pulled back onto their own tower and evaporated like they were never there. Windy Day with another multi-kill. They are staking their claim to the league in this game.
Yeah, that really speaks to the strength of the Elder Drake that they were able to pick up there. But that's the game going over to Seton Hall, and wow, what a commanding win.
Oh my gosh, that is just so ridiculous in that game. But oh my gosh, I mean, we came into this one, you know, the Bulldogs, they won their previous game. You know, they had all the momentum coming in. For the Pirates, having had a tough loss themselves, we really expect that to go completely the opposite way.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, Bulldogs were looking really, really good out of their previous game, and they came into this game very well prepared. They came into both of these games very well prepared, and they're a very coordinated team as well. They do nothing but play flex fives together, and so we were like, okay, they have a positive mental. They're coming out of a win. They're very well prepared for today. They're a very well coordinated team. They don't have a whole lot of one tricks, so their champion pools can't be banned out as easily. And then they came into this game, and Seton Hall just had so many victories across the map. It just seemed like they were just better prepared.
I mean, for me, it really exemplified the end there, where you had, Mac, who was the only player who was picking up kills for the squad, still getting 1v1 by the opposing team's jungler.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's just a really, really good team fight overall, and I think what I want to speak to is just how both these teams played around the objectives. Both teams did a very good job of this kind of tug of war, this kind of back and forth, the footsies that I mentioned, when it came to pulling the objective, pulling off for a second, then fighting just a little bit, gaining maybe an advantage, going back to the objective, pulling off this kind of back and forth that they were doing. Both teams played that very well, I think.